Okay, so we are trying to sort this out. I think I figured out what the problem is. I just remembered something. I'll explain. So we called dot split and we thought it was not, dot sort. So we thought this was not working, right? Now I put in an A and then I repeated the same thing. Now, if you watch very well, follow. After we split it, we printed the list. So this is the list. This is the splitted list, right? Then when we now call dot sort, something interesting happened. See the way he sorted it. The first item is what? Today. Right? Are you cool with me?
Yes.
Am I not audible?
Yes, I understand now.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so when he sorted it, the first item became today, and I was like a bit confused. Why is it today? I didn't expect today to be the first item. But quickly now, I think I get what is happening. Now, if I change this T to small letter, it will give us the kind of answer we are expecting. So apparently, Python, in terms of ascending order, right, it sees the capital letter before small letter. So how the computer
Okay.
recognizes which item should be first is by capital letters first, A to Z, is like higher than small letters. Okay, so in the computer's head, the T I put here made it to come before I, that is small letter. So if, but what I'm saying now, if I change it to small letter T, save it and run, you will get just a different answer. Can you see? So A now remains first.
Okay.
And today, when T went to where we thought T should be. So when we are sorting, yeah, and that's something to be aware of, and you just need to check it up. In the way computer sees things, capital letter A and small letter A are not the same thing. But looking at which one comes first, you see the capital letter A to Z comes before the small letter.
Ah,
And this is something to keep
I
in
see.
mind in your code, because whenever you're doing your code, sometimes when you want to sort something like this, it's always good to use like dot lower, send everything to lower, or dot upper, send everything to upper before you then sort. Do you get? So it was
Yes.
working. And also this is what this I thought as much. This does not return anything. It's sorted that returns. Okay. This sorts in place. So it actually sorted the list, and then we have a new list. Now, let me remove the A so that it will be like what we wanted to achieve, what we thought we should have achieved initially. So it's Sunday today. Now let us now bring out the join to bring it back to a string with joining it with space. So we save it and then you will see the result. Did you get? So we took a string and we are trying to arrange the elements in that string in ascending order. Now, doing that in string, manipulating string directly, is difficult to start arranging the items in a string in ascending order. But once you send the string to a list, you can then quickly manipulate it. So most of the questions that has to do with manipulating string like this, you just know that, oh, we need to take it to list. How do you take it to list? You split and you get your list. You can now, if you want to sort it, you can now sort it. If you want to sort it and get a new list, that's when you use the sorted. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, very
Yeah.
clear.
So at least we've
Yes,
seen
sir.
we've seen what was giving us a small headache is that that capital letter T was of a higher order than the rest. So it was still keeping it in front. So it looked like nothing was changing. But this is it. So join brings the items in a list back to string. And you could actually join it with different things. You could say, let me join it with this, save. So you can see it's Sunday today. Similarly, when you're dealing with split, you could split on different items. So I could say, I think that parameter should be dot split, and I put I. Let me see if that's how it's done. Yes. So I split it on I. So you have today and then S Sunday. So by default, splitting splits on space. So every space is split. But if you put in another parameter here, it can split on that. So if you want to split it by is, I can have it like that. Sorry, is. So it's going to split it into today and Sunday. And you can see what happens. Okay. That's split and join too. You could put different anything you want by space and other. So there are some problems when you're solving them. These things comes in handy where you need to, like, after solving, join and then print a sentence. Like this case, for instance, just arrange it in ascending order, then go and print out the string again. I don't know. I hope this is clear.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah. Okay, so we just move forward now to list comprehensions. Now, when we talk about list comprehension, I can tell you create a list of numbers between 1 and 100. I think in the example we talked about, that list was, what Nkechi brought up in the beginning, there was supposed to be a list between 1 and 100. Somebody can tell you create a list. The normal way you would do that, you can say L is equal to an empty list. Then you can say for I in range 1 to 100. I put 101 because, it will not get to 101 to stop at 100, right? So for I in this range, I can say L dot append of I. Then in the end, I print L. So we'll see our list. Okay, so I save it and then run. So now you see we've created a list of items 1 to 100, right? Nobody's answering. So we've created our list this way. I believe we should be familiar with this by now.
Yes, very interesting.
In the former chapter, we talk about lists. You can create a list like this. I just keep adding. In this method, we initialize an empty list. We ran our range. We took the range variable. Each time we appended it to the list. So adding to the end. We kept adding to the end, and then the list is formed. All the numbers are found in the list, which is 1 to 100. Now, when we talk about list comprehension, this same thing, we can do it in one line of code using list comprehension. So list comprehension is a method of simplifying making of your list to be done in one line. So the same list could have been done like this. You typically will do the comprehension inside a square bracket, I, for I in range. I put the range 1, 1, 1. So this same line, this is one line of code that will give me exactly the same result as this. So if I say, let me print L, Turn this to a comment, save it, and run. So you see, we have exactly the same list with just one line of code. Similarly, if I told you, like I think we saw when we were looking at the book, there was one part that says square the items, right? So if I wanted a list of the square of all of them, I could just come here and say I square. So I perform an operation now with all of the I, but I store it in a list. So when you generate a list like this is what we call list comprehension. I've also been in like an interview where someone told me to do a task. Then I follow the normal route like this. Maybe you just do your for loop, reason it, you get the task done. And then the guy say, okay, can you do it with list comprehension? So then you then write it like this. So if you wanted to do this now, maybe if I was saying here, you're appending the square root. These two now are the same thing. So in list comprehension, you perform an action for your range will just give you like how many times you want to perform that action. Okay, it mustn't even be that we would say for I square, we could just do like this. I can say 7 for I in range 100. What will happen is for any I in range 100, I'll put 7. So my list would then be 7, 7, 7, 700 times. You get 700 times. So the real deal now in the comprehension is you're using your for loop for repetition, and then you can do something, you can perform an action, maybe perform that. But if you want to use the loop variable, then the loop variable will also be the action you want to perform. Again, I think you can, for instance, if you want to create a list with list comprehension, and I tell you create a list of even numbers, you only want the even numbers. So you could also in list comprehension add an if statement. So I can say I for I in range this if I mod 2 equal to 0. Let me see if this will work this way. You see, I have a list, a reduced list with these conditions satisfied. This same thing, you could do it the normal way where you create the list and check. Let me just do it so that we'll see. So we could have the list like this, and we need only even number. That means before we append, we put our if statement. If I mod 2 is equal to 0. So you see this is the same. If I mod 2 is equal to 0, then we append it. Okay, we're appending the square, but let's just append only I like this. So at this point now, you're appending only even numbers. Likewise, you can do for odd. So what I'm trying to bring out in this is you can have this list formed in one line using list comprehension. This one is without if statement, and this is with if statement. So it just goes like language where you say I for I in this if this condition is met. But this first one does not have the condition, so it just puts out everything. Now, for list comprehension, it's not something you just easily know, even though you're taught. You say, "Well, I understand it." But it's like I said, the more you do, the more it gets into you. Okay. Any question?
Okay,
Right.
there's a question.
Go ahead.
So effectively use list comprehension. You you need an output and an action. Because from the first one, you had an action which is for I in range. Then you had an output. But you can also specify the action without necessarily having the output, like that I. For example, if you don't want to perform a task on I, you can just say for I in range this, then it will still print out the 1 to 100. I'm talking about the first example for this comprehension.
I'm not sure if I got you. That's why I changed the I to 7. Is this the kind of thing you're talking about?
Yes, yes. Without the 7, you can still print out 1 to 100, like you did it from 1 to 100.
Like this,
Yes,
in list
remove
comprehension.
the space.
I'm not sure that will work.
It will work. Just remove the space before that 4.
Okay, I should remove the space.
Extra space. Yes, before the 4. Yeah, yeah.
You can see the ID is even underlining it, right? Because
It
something
will work.
is. We should try it, right?
I have it here, very tidy.
Okay, so I do control this. Then I should just run it.
Yeah,
What do you say will happen?
I said that it will print the 1 to 100.
It will print the 1
Like
to
it will,
100.
it will return back the digits 1 to 100.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, you should.
Okay, let's run it and see.
Oh, why is it invalid syntax?
Invalid syntax. Even the ID is even telling us because it put something on the line. So you just something is not.
Okay.
You
So I've
could
seen why this is different.
you could do like
Here
this.
I was random integers. That means there must be an output.
I think you can do something like this. When you do this, it may not form a list, but it might print. Let me try. I've not tried this before, but I believe this will just print. Okay. So you see, it printed the numbers. Okay. 1, 2, 3. But it did not store them in the list. So when I say let me print the list, see what it did. So instead of putting the number none, because this operation I put here is not an operation like I to put it in the list. I was just printing the I. So when he printed it, there's nothing to put in the list. So he kept putting none. So I had 100 nones. But the print statement did its job. And remember, why is it not on one line? So we can just do and equal to space. So that everything will just be on like one line. Save it and then we'll see the things together. So you can see printed all your numbers, but your list is none. So basically, there have to be an operation you're performing, either with the
That means
loop.
two arguments.
Pardon?
That means you must have 2 arguments, either your output and your action.
Yes. Yeah. Like this will be the
I don't even, sorry, I didn't get the question he asked. What was the question?
No, I
Okay,
just
my question earlier was if you can have a list comprehension with just 1 argument, that means your action.
the thing is, the action is this part, right? Where I just put I, that's the action. Your for loop is used for like repetition. Okay. Now, if I remove the for loop here and I just put I, of course, a list will be formed if I has a meaning. Okay, maybe I've defined I before now. It will form a list of one item. But the idea about list comprehension, you're trying to build up a list. And that usually would include a for loop for different items that is going to be in your list. Okay. So when you have what you want to do with the item, then you can have your loop. And after your loop, you could also have a condition like this one here. you can see that there's also an if statement. Oh, sorry. There's also an if statement here. Though the for loop is bringing out the numbers, I can still, do something like perform conditional statement on it before it enters the list. You could even have two for loops here for I in range this. Okay, so I can have I times j for I in range this. And I say like for j in range. This one, let's just say 1, 3. So what am I trying to do? I times j for j in range this, for I in range this, for j in range this. It will take each I and multiply it by 1 and 2. So when I is 1, you have 1 times 1, 1, then 1 times 2, because 3 will not be inclusive. 1 times 2 is 2. So let's just also print it and see what we'll get. So if you watch now, the first element is this 2. 1 times 1, 1 times 2. The next time I is 2. So we have 2 times 1, 2. 2 times 2, 4. The next one is 3. 3 times 1, 3. I hope this is not confusing anybody.
No, it's not.
So you're having a kind of, if you were to write this out in this format, so that maybe those that didn't appreciate it will appreciate it better. If I was to write this particular one, which I did here in the other format, it will look like this. I have my empty list for I in range this. I'll now have a second for loop for j in range 1, 2, 3. Then I am appending I times j. So if you look at it this way, it could be a little bit clearer somehow. So you know that for each I, you come and run all through j. So j will finish its course. If I is 1, j will churn out, j will, in this case, will bring out 1 and 2. So each I will be multiplied by 1 and 2 here. Before you will change the next I, you come in again. If you change this one to maybe 5, so each of the I is going to multiply 1, 2, 3, 4. I times 1, I times 2, I times 3, I times 4. You append all of them. Then I will change to 2.
Excuse me.
Yeah? Go ahead with your question.
I'm a bit confused here. I want to understand something. What's the difference between the list and this list comprehension?
It's the same
Is it
thing.
this prefix, the variables?
What is the difference between list and list comprehension? List is like a data structure, which we've been talking about, but list comprehension is a way of forming a list in one line, a simplified form of generating your list.
Okay, forming a list in one
Yes,
line.
yeah, exactly. So like this one line in line 39, I'm trying to say is the same thing as this here. Okay? It's the same thing as this. All of these. You've written something like this where you have a for loop in a for loop, and then you perform an operation. Now, you write it as a comprehension. It will now be in one line. This same thing, this same list